This is Brin. This is Tim. They've been writing pals for 10 years and write 5 mornings a week. But neither have had a single word published. These are the mistakes they've made on the way to finally getting published, hopefully one day. This is Losers Writing Books.
Welcome. I'm Brin.
I'm Tim.
And we're Losers Writing Books. So today, we're talking about why we stopped stealing from other authors.
We should probably say we're not talking about literally copying and pasting a paragraph of Harry Potter and putting it into our manuscript.
No, although that might be nice. We're talking about whether you're consciously or subconsciously taking another author's style or technique or humour and just jamming it into your work. Tim,
Brin,
have you done this? Tell us about a time you failed to be original.
Right, so my big example is from a few years ago. I first signed with my agent for my YA epic fantasy series. And so that was great. But then the advice I got was, this is a good first draft, but we want to amp up some things like the humor and other things. So basically, me being a fairly new writer was like, well, I don't know how to do that very well. So what am I going to do? I looked to sources that I really love. And so the one that came to mind was Wes Anderson films. So Wes Anderson, if you're familiar with him, he's got this weird, unique style. The characters often have these reactions which are in direct opposition to the setting they're in. And it just has his unique universe vibe. So me being a young, inexperienced author thought, well, how does he do it? And I'm going to directly steal it and stick it into my manuscript for these 2 characters, right? And at the time I thought, this is really funny. It's sounding good. Yes, I send it back to my agent and really excited and get a phone call from London saying, Tim, this doesn't work. What the hell is this really? So basically the agent was not too happy and a little confused to see 2 of my characters interacting in a very different way, basically. So, Brin, are you innocent when it comes to all this?
Unfortunately, I'm not. When I was working on the first feature film script that I tried to write, my co-writer and I were very into swingers and Maid at the time. And because of that, we decided to take the 2 main characters from those 2 movies, jumble them together, and put them into our script. And we didn't even do it subtly. We called our characters Vince and John.
Okay.
And at the time, we did it because we loved the movies that we'd watched. But also, I think we were just really pretty lazy. All we did was take the characters, create some new scenes, pretend we had a new story, when actually we just recycled what was already done before us.
And you didn't even change the character names?
No, we weren't that smart. Probably should have changed the character names.
That's good advice for all writers. When you steal, change the character names.
So, Tim, who do you think has done this in a good way? Who's copied or taken an influence from something and actually made it work?
Right. So one that's really big for me, being a massive Lord of the Rings fan, I'm not going to lie, is Tolkien's Letters. So that's this beautiful book here, which is a nice old library copy. But anyway, basically what I found in here was, so Tolkien was a master linguist. He could speak Old Icelandic. He researched the history of all these languages and cultures. And he would actually borrow a lot from old texts, so old Icelandic sagas and so forth. But what he talked about in his letters, which I found really fascinating, was that his approach was basically going with this massive net out to find everything that excited him. And that would include all these different languages and old stories. But for him, it was almost like putting it all in this big cauldron, right? So he was mixing in all these influences, not just stealing from one, but probably stealing from thousands and taking the things that really excited him. So it kind of created this Tolkien soup, in which I think was a big part of why Lord of the Rings is amazing.
Making that big Middle-earth soup bowl.
Yeah.
Stirring it around.
When is copying allowed? So when is it a good thing to use copying?
Well, I think copying is, in a way, inescapable. Humans generally copy other humans to learn. When we're kids, we look up to people and try and copy their behaviors, and that's the process that we use to learn. I think it's similar to writing. No one starts out as a great, perfect writer.
So, Brin, should other writers like us feel guilty if they've been stealing?
Nah, don't feel guilty, ever. No, I think it's okay. When I was at uni, we just called stealing paraphrasing. I wonder also if you read enough, you actually kind of forget how to steal singular things. Everything kind of merges together at some point in your brain.
Yeah.
So you don't even have a choice sometimes. I think that's why it's just important to reflect on what you're writing.
Neither of us have published a single word yet. So this segment that we're going to be doing each episode, what is our writing goal to publish and what do we need to get done in the next month? And then we'll be doing a recap to see how we actually went against that. Brin, you're going to be publishing a book this year, right?
Yes, I am.
So let's start with the elevator pitch for that book.
Right. So I'm writing a series of novelettes set in a fictional London. And the first novelette of that series is horror mystery, horny zombie genre pulp fiction. A local publican has the weekend to sell a bag of drugs to get himself out of debt. Problem is he finds out these drugs turn the people that take them into horny zombie killers. So he has to track down the drugs that are already on the street to save the town.
If you had 2 seconds, what are you saying?
The two second elevator pitch. It's a horny zombie story. That was my Tom Haverford look to camera. It's a horny zombie thriller.
I think that's the one. Publishers will love that.
I'm going to self-publish.
We'll talk about that another time. My pitch is, what if medieval Japan had attacked medieval England? So samurais versus knights, very nerdy, yes. But it's basically following a young apprentice samurai girl who is wanting to avenge her father's death and has to go to this giant tournament where she fights the best squires of this other country.
Tim, what's your 2 second pitch?
Samurais versus knights.
We need to work on our elevator pitches.
Yes.
When are you publishing?
Right, so the goal that I'm laying out publicly right now is I'm publishing on 1 December 2021.
Boom.
It's only taken me 7 years to actually commit to a date. Brin, when are you going to publish?
I'm going to publish my novelette in July this year.
What date?
I'm going to publish my novelette on the 1st of July this year. Precisely 4 months from now.
What is the goal for you in March to make sure that you publish on 1 July?
So I have to finish this edit to get it into shape to send out to my beta reader group. And I need to start doing some research on Amazon Kindle store to work out which genre grouping my horny zombie novelette should fit into.
That sounds like a good goal for March. So we're going to check back in with Brin in a month's time to see if he actually got that done.
Tim, what do you need to do in March to get your book published in December?
Right, so my goal for March is to finish this giant edit that I've been doing so that I can get it out to my beta readers to get that final feedback. So that's the March goal.
Wow, we have the same goals.
Which is weird.
What else do you need to do in March?
I'm also going to be investigating audiobook readers. I think they're called narrators. Cover design, website.
Tim, what are you reading?
So I'm reading Cormac McCarthy's The Road, which, well, I'm rereading it because it's one of my all-time favorite books. And I think for writers, it's a really good example of hooking your reader from the first page?
I am reading Rum Punch by Elmore Leonard, the king of pulp fiction, the king of genre fiction. This is the book that the movie Jackie Brown by Tarantino is based on. And Elmore Leonard, if you haven't read him, you have to, as a person whose character study is amazing.
Leonard had an interesting writing rule, which was like he would not allow himself to have a sip of coffee until he'd written the first line. And that was every morning.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I did. Thanks for listening to us losers today. We'd love to hear what you think about this topic. So examples of when you've stolen or what you think about the topic in general would be really interesting. And also about your writing goals. So leave your comments. Be kind.
Rewind. Thanks for watching. That's us done. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode about how we stop being so lazy at writing. Till then.
Please subscribe. I think we're supposed to say that, right?
Please subscribe.
I think there's a bell thing to click. All I can taste is bitter coffee in despair.